Hello everyone. A viewer asked a question in the comments. It's a long text with many details, but in short, the person is tired of dealing with various spins and wants this problem to stop bothering him. He is asking how to get away from the spins. If you want a short answer, it's, you can't. You can choose not to spin the ball, but opponents will still maliciously serve various difficult spins and put topspin on the ball. So, if you want to completely get rid of the need to read spins, it's impossible in table tennis. But we don't want to be the bearers of bad news and be pelted with rotten eggs. Therefore, we can offer several options based on other players, how they try to solve this problem. First, you should use rubbers that are less susceptible to incoming spin. Secondly, you should play in a way that opponents don't want to spin against you, or it's too difficult for them to spin against you. Let's look at the first option. Here's a 65-year-old grandpa. His playing style is focused on efficiency. He uses short pips on the right and soft anti-spin on the left, presumably Yasaka anti-power with a thick sponge. Short pips to some extent simplify the game against spins, and anti-spin hardly notices the spin. By the way, I don't recommend this particular anti-spin to anyone. 10 to 15 years ago, it was considered good, but since then, balls have changed significantly, spins have changed, and rubber manufacturing technologies have also changed significantly. If you specifically want anti-spin, I recommend choosing from the assortment of anti-spin rubbers from the German company Dr. Neubauer. At Dr. Neubauer, you will find a significant variety of anti-spin rubbers. Both slow and fast, soft and hard, thin and thick sponges, glassy and with grip. In general, there are anti-spins for every taste and for different playing styles. Dr. Neubauer makes excellent rubbers. I have tried many of his anti-spins. They are nasty and effective. These are modern rubbers based on fresh technologies and taking into account the current realities in table tennis. At least this is what we select in our store. By the way, if you haven't played with anti-spin rubbers yet, be sure to like this video. You can do it right now. As you can see, the grandpa in the video doesn't spin, and opponents serve few spins because their spins against this grandpa mean little. If you look closely at the game, you can see that opponents find it uncomfortable to make topspins, and they often perform counter drives. The grandpa has chosen a playing style that leaves opponents with little time to perform a topspin. In some cases, in order to perform a topspin, opponents step away from the table to give themselves more time. This playing style really solves the problem of reading incoming spins to a significant extent. I played with this grandpa when he had already replaced the anti-spin on the left with a more effective covering for this style of play, Dr. Neubauer KO medium pimples on a 1.5mm sponge. I'd better not have played with him. The balls from his backhand started to fly faster and longer, and he also learned to make short movements with the racket on the left and send a strongly diagonal ball to the left side line, and he became more confident in hitting the ball with right-hand shots. It can be said that he either ignores most of the incoming spin or encourages opponents not to spin against him. It seems like hooray, he almost got rid of the spins, but all of this has its downside. And maybe it's a big one. It's very uninteresting to play with such an opponent. I emphasize, it's really not interesting at all, like chewing hay in a cowshed instead of enjoying tasty chips with beer at a bar. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. In fact, I'm downplaying it. Because the process of the game is rallies in 2 ball touches, identical serves, no spins, no top spins, just counter drives, flat hits, and that's it. This is sodomy and masochism of the 80th level. Right now, you probably can't fully appreciate the degree of dullness and repulsiveness of the game process when playing with such an opponent. There's no pleasure, just constant discomfort, boredom, and disappointment. So if you play like this, there's a great risk that many of your colleagues will avoid you. And in amateur tournaments, some of them will lose to you to finish this unpleasant event as quickly as possible. And personally for you, it will be a style of play where you always stand at the table and in a fast rhythm only perform long serves, counter drives on th backhand, right flat hits and counter drives on the forehand, and blocks. In other words, you deprive yourself of most pleasant moments and variety. The game process turns into a primitive ping-pong of 2 hits in each rally. Even a stool in the kitchen is more interesting to look at than to play like this. Next, here's the second player, with short pimples on the right and long pimples on the sponge on the left. He doesn't spin much, and it's much easier for him to handle spins than if he played with two smooth coverings. The style of play is more diverse than the previous players. He stands at the table and hits with counter drives, and retreats to chop in defense. The drawbacks of such a game are the same, but less pronounced. At this point, you can refresh your drink or pour yourself a second cup of coffee, because we haven't finished yet, we're only halfway through. The next player plays with short pimples on both sides. It's an aggressive game at a fast pace at the table, it's impossible to retreat with two short pimples. The blade is specific in its properties, making topspins less comfortable. It is designed for a flat game with short pimples. It's mostly blocks and counter drives. Creating strong spins on serve or topspin like with a smooth covering is impossible. The drawbacks of this style of play are similar to the previous option, while the game picture will be less diverse, and the game rhythm is always fast. By the way, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. And the last option, the most common one. The racket has a pips in rubber on one side and long pips without sponge. The possibilities with such a racket are very wide, the playing style can be different. You can ignore the spin with the pips, play aggressively, and also perform everything that can be done with the pips in rubber. It is desirable to be able to twirl the racket and play with both rubbers on the right and left sides. Someone plays with such a racket in defense with frequent counterattacks using the pips in rubber, and aggressive pushing when close to the table. Someone often stays close to the table, trying to block and jab with the pips. With such a racket, the possibilities are vast, it's the most interesting option. You have the maximum number of options in combining different technical elements, and from this, you can build your own style and rhythm of play. For myself, I can say that I have tried absolutely all types of rubbers in all combinations, and even all types of blades. Blades also come in different types, for example made of hard balsa, soft balsa, single ply, multiply. And such differences in composition have a significant impact on the feel and enjoyment of the game. By the way, I do not recommend indulging in such refined perversions. I couldn't play with short or medium pips on both sides. It's very boring. Anti-spin on the left and pips in rubber provide some fun. Medium pips are similar, there are annoying ones, there are fast ones for a quick style, there are different ones. Long pips are a never-ending topic, there are many different kinds. Without sponge, with thin sponge, with thick sponge, with weak grip, with medium grip, with strong grip, slow, fast. Eyes wander like grandparents' eyeballs. It's interesting to play with many types of rubbers, you don't know what to choose. I would probably stick with medium pips with a weak grip, but I wanted a lighter racket, so I put on long pips without sponge. From my experience, if you want to avoid the spin, you definitely need to try such combinations of rubbers, such playing styles, and see what you like more or less. It's quite possible that you will find the most suitable option for yourself. I only recommend that you keep in mind in advance that there is no panacea against spins, or at least I couldn't find one over many years. And if you can, be sure to write in the comments. I suggest you to accept in advance that you will not be able to completely avoid spins. Therefore, if you manage to partly avoid spins, consider it a victory and the best option for yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. We will try to answer the most interesting ones if we manage to read them. In the meantime, visit our TT Maximum store more often for shopping.